Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on It's Late Night America on the American Dufus channel. And again, thank you for clicking on. I want to begin by telling you tomorrow night at midnight, 24 hours from now, we're going to have Telescope on live. Um, Actually, it'll be about 24 hours and 20 minutes. It'll be about 20 minutes after midnight, somewhere between quarter after and 12:30. We'll have Telescope on. And if you have a question that you would like for me to ask Telescope, um, you're watching the replay, put it in the um, put it in the comments below, or email me, American Doofus, all one word, AMERICAN. It's right over there. Americandufus at gmail.com, or leave a comment. And if you are, hello, Tupelo. Hello, Lisa Hurley. Hi, Cunning Stunt. Hi, Butterflies. And if you're watching live and you're in the chat and you have a question you want me to ask Telescope tomorrow night, leave it in the chat, and we'll make sure and ask him. I've got some things to ask him and some things to talk about, and I'm looking forward to this. Telescope and I have had a couple of discussions in other places, and they've ended up going on for hours and hours and hours. So that's not going to happen. But it could happen because very interesting person to talk with. He's a very polarizing figure on the internet, and I'm looking forward to it. So, with all that being said, hello, Pat Tolliver. Hi, hi, Sissy. Thank you for everything, and we got that thing taken care of from earlier. So again, thank you for everything you do, Sissy. Let's get started as we always do. Actually, I'm going to get started in a different way than as we always do, because Lori Arnold's live right now over at her channel. And as everybody knows, I don't do this for me. Yeah, it's nice to make enough money to keep things rolling. I haven't been doing that, but that so much is going on. But Lori's doing something, and half of her donations is going to help the vet suicide prevention. I just wanted to call attention to this, that it's going on right now. And if you want to hop over there and watch that live, I totally understand. And if you want to contribute over there, that's why I put it up, because it's a worthy cause. And after the stunt on Monday, and the claim that it really didn't impact anyway, that there was also a claim that there was a letter from a parole officer, and I don't remember seeing either one of them. So it's just something to think about as we start the night out. Breaking news: what is going on around the mainstream media? Again, this is how we normally always start out our lives. New York Times says the appeals court frees Justice Department to use sensitive files seized from Trump. The 5 juiciest takeaways from the New York State. They're trying to make it sound like they know this person and they're tight. Not impressed. It's from Politico. 5 juiciest takeaways from the New York State lawsuit against Donald Trump and the Donald Trump children and the Donald Trump organization. Putin orders partial military call-up, sparking protests, which we were on late last night showing that speech. I've got the full translation of the speech, and at the end of this, I'm going to just touch on part of it. I'm going to, reread the whole thing. CNN is Jenny Thomas agrees to the January 6th committee interview. Jenny Thomas is the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and also has a lot of connections to major far right wing fundraisers. Ukrainian President Zelensky addressed the United Nations General Assembly, and how Masha Amini's death in Iranian police custody sparked riots throughout Iran. And she didn't just die in police custody. She died in the custody of the moral police. Now, here's some of the protests when burning their hijabs. And women getting punished by the moral police, the morality police, the police that come and enforce how you should act, how you should behave. It's the absolute opposite of freedom. I want you to ask yourself something. If there was an organization, or if there was a group of individuals, loosely knit or tightly knit individuals in the United States, that wanted to impose their moral views on everyone else, what would that look like? And whom would be the most apt to do something like that? Just something to think about. Here's another look at another one of the demonstrations, this time tipping over Iranian police vehicles, eventually setting them on fire. So again, this is not, this isn't just women upset. This is the Iranian citizens upset about being under control of a religious regime that imposes their version of how people should behave upon their citizenry. And I think there may be some people that are unknowingly supporting people that have that same vision for the United States. They're just not saying it out loud too often. It's just a possibility. It's just something to think about. Okay, Russia and Ukraine. The Putin speech last night. What was the major takeaway from it? As I said last night at the end of after the speech, I gave a brief, here's what I think. A lot of talk about, okay, we're going to escalate, and nuclear weapons were mentioned several times, including the fact that they felt threatened, that they were going to be nuked at any moment. This is currently about these regions right here, these three regions. Let me see if I can get it up. There we go. These three regions in red. These are the regions that Russia wants to have an annexation vote. They want people in here to determine their own fate, even though they've all been invaded. Anybody that had opposition has been shipped out to concentration camps in Russia. So they're going to have a vote, and Russia's going to do the vote, and Russia will count the vote. And as I said last night, chances are in many locations the vote will be taken at gunpoint. Again, if that were to happen ever in the United States, who do you see being responsible for holding a gun on people as they freely vote? Just something to think about. Something to think about as far as who you're associated with. Are you associated with an organization because you think it is the right thing? Have you investigated it? Is it really doing what they're saying they're going to be doing? These are just things to think about because our country is incredibly divided, and all that does is make us weaker to any outside adversaries. Why would we want to do that? Well, because somebody works to keep everybody divided. Okay, so what happens if Russia, if the annexation election goes in favor of Russia, as it will? It's going to be held this coming week. So this is all going to happen within a week. This becomes Russia. This becomes Russian territory. Any attacks to try to take any of this territory back will be viewed as an attack against Russia. That's why that's being done. That's the next move at the moment from Putin. Now, if I know this, then Ukrainian military knows this, NATO knows this, the U.S. knows this, everybody knows this. So the only thing you can do is make a massive push along that line, as in as many places as you can, and try to take as much territory back as you can while you can, because and I'm not saying the Ukrainians are going to stop if Russia does this, because this is all Ukrainian land. Okay, this is all Ukrainian territory, including the island here. So I'm not saying they're going to stop. I'm just saying that once Russia does this, it ups the ante. It increases the potential consequences on anything that is done on that territory in the eyes of Russia. And that's really the one thing we need to think about in the eyes of Russia. Because I was doing a live stream entitled Countdown to War the night that Russia invaded. And up until hours before, maybe not even hours before, people were saying there's no way. Even in Kyiv, the capital of Russia, or a capital of Ukraine, they were saying there's no way Russia's going to invade. And people are now saying there's no way Putin is going to use nuclear weapons. And I just want you to consider this. In an exchange of nuclear weapons, if one country does decide to push the red button, so to speak, metaphorically, and fire missiles, other countries are going to fire missiles. All right. Nobody's going to be going, okay, we've got to make note here of who fired first and at what time. And, that's not what's going to be happening. There's going to be chaos. And I believe, to wrap all this up a little bit, I believe that the rest of the world is going to tell Ukraine, give that territory to Russia and stop this. Ukraine won't like it. Ukraine may not accept it. But that's my prediction for what's coming with that. Okay, the next slide here. The USS Kearsarge and an MR-604 Seahawk is was active 7 hours ago off of the coast of Kaliningrad. Why does that matter? Why is an information gathering ship and aircraft doing circles around Kaliningrad? This is where most of the majority of the nuclear missile silos in Russia. This is where it is, and they are keeping a much closer eye on that area than, or at least making it known that they are keeping an eye on that area. Now, after the announcement last night, after the announcement last night, people took to the streets in Russia in protest of the idea that, well, what Putin said in his speech, that basically they're going to start conscripting people. They're going to start forcible, they're going to mobilize, is the politically correct word. They're going to force people to start joining the army. And beginning today, 300,000 is the number that they are going to force. Also, you cannot leave the country if you are, I believe it was 18, it was either 18 or 15 as the low end, and 60 as the high end. If you're a male in that range, you can't leave the country. Ukraine did that same thing when they were invaded temporarily. They put a ban up against, because they knew they were going to have fighters. As it turned out, more Ukrainians that were living elsewhere came back to fight instead of having any that were trying to leave the country. So, but it's a different story in Russia. And here's the, of course, here's the end of that protest. You can see the police and special forces trying to chase the much larger group away. And one more screen here as they take away one of the protesters that they captured. But protests going on in most of the major cities, Moscow, St. Petersburg. Again, immediately, well, not immediately, but in the evening after the speech that was given this morning, their time. Again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for hanging in here with me. Got some other stuff I want to talk about. I'm going to hop over here to the chat for just a minute. Hi, butterflies are free. BTM Sparky. Our future is in very scary times. Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, don't be paranoid. Don't start thinking, well, should I not plan this because, we may not be here next week? No, don't do anything anywhere along those lines. I've got like a little 4 or 5 segment series called Prepare. and I think the whole thing's like 45 minutes long, and it's in little segments. And don't um, don't be paranoid. Don't constantly think something's going to happen, even though it sure looks like at any point something's going to happen. Um, you can't live in that fear. Be not afraid. And depending on what kind of person you are, um, some people have a security by being just a little bit prepared, having some food put away, having some access to water. Um, some people that the idea that, oh my gosh, I've got to prepare for something, makes it harder to get through each and every day, because that is a struggle to a lot of people, just getting through each and every day. Now, those people are probably going to end up being better prepared mentally for a shit hits the fan event, if something should ever occur, because they struggle all the time, and all of a sudden the whole rest of the world is facing the same struggle they are in a lot of situations, if we don't prepare ourselves. And again, that's not what this episode's about. So just something, just something to think about. Um, right on, right on, right on. Live every day to the fullest. And I think that's what we're supposed to do anyway. Eat tons of rocks. BTM Sparky. Let's go to Just a Lazy Gamer on YouTube. And he's got a couple of things up about Trump. The January 6th Solidarity Truth press conference. I'm going to show a little bit of that. And I haven't announced it yet. I said to go, go watch Lori's channel if you wanted to, because she was on live and trying to make some money up, pardon me, for her, and half of it going for the veterans. For those that have not heard, Defender of Ants, there is one restraining order against him, and all the rest were dropped. And he and others think that there's enough evidence that's going into the court that that one will be dropped. However, the last I heard, Berkeley County sheriffs were looking for him to try to do some bogus violation of the restraining order. So I imagine Defender of Ants is not in West Virginia, probably not anywhere close to West Virginia, and probably, unless he absolutely has to, won't go back to West Virginia. So I wanted to point that out. Now let's get to, hold on a second. I got to switch screens real quick. Let's get to this January 6th thing that is happening on the 24th. I've pointed out a lot of things that were going on potentially on the 24th, and there's a big buzz that the 24th is going to be something that everybody will remember that day, and it's going to be 10 times worse than 9/11. And I believe it was Remus, a friend of mine, Remus, that pointed out that there was an event in DC Saturday, September 24th, 1 to 4 p.m. And I don't remember who it was. Somebody else pointed out that this is almost the exact same flyer that had been used in another attempt to do this in June or July with basically the same set of speakers. And let's just listen to Lazy Gamer.
If you watch my Mike Lindell content, which you should, you'll remember Joe Van Hutton Pulitzer. He's the one that created the cat barcode scanner, was a complete flop, and changed his last name afterwards. He has a comment on what is going on September 24th, the January 6th Solidarity Truth Press Conference. Let's hear what he has to say, but first, let's hear the description of this conference. Calling all true patriots, come support your J6 heroes at the biggest J6 event to date. Over 20 powerful speakers confirmed. Now is the time to stand united and show our strength in numbers by protesting conservative political persecution in the heart of the American capital. Stand up for those who stood up for you. Private security, large speaker stage, porta potties. This will be a safe and peaceful event. Featured speakers are pretty much the type of people you would expect. And of course, there's Ashley Babbitt's mother right there in the second row. Now, he has this to say. I am greatly concerned with this event and feel it is another setup. There is no reason to, and I'm assuming that's supposed to be go, and some featured as speakers have called for getting arms up and taking to the streets. This is another setup and ill-advised. Why, oh why do this at such a critical time before the midterms? Yes, sad state of affairs, but J6 committee hearings are to start back up and they are looking for an excuse. Be wary, very wary, very, very wary. This is telegraphing and asking for a setup of patriots. Please think clearly. What good can this do? What harm can it do? The January 6th Commission has announced more hearings at the same time. Do you trust them to not use this to make their case against us all? Who planned this date? He's calling it a setup. This is hilarious. If you watch my mic,
I lost it there for a second. Something that it had not registered with me the first time that I listened to this. They have made in this, let me see if I make it bigger. No, it's not gonna. Okay. Porta potties is a feature. And I hadn't, for some reason, the first time I listened to this, I didn't catch that, you know, there's going to be a big stage and there's going to be porta potties. And it's like, normally you go to an event, you know, they don't advertise porta potties like it's a major draw, but the poop bucket thing just ran through my head, and I started laughing there for a little bit, and I apologize for that, because I didn't want to detract from this part of the message. Greatly concerned with this event and feel it's another setup. But then he says, speakers have called for getting arms up and taking to the streets. And he's concerned that it's a setup. I'm concerned that there are going to be enough people there yelling, getting arms up and taking to the streets, that's what September 24th is really all about. And I really hope that's wrong. I hope that's incredibly wrong. I hope that's really wrong. But there is such a thing as the Salt Army. And how much of that army is regulated to keyboard warriors, and how much of that army would actually be active, and especially be violent, is something that we don't know. They don't know. And hopefully no one will ever do anything so we find out. Thanks for watching. I'll be on tomorrow night at midnight with Telescope. And I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching. Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat have any questions for me? If you got questions for Telescope for tomorrow, I'll make sure and get those. Hey, Thunder. Make sure I say hey to everybody in here. Hi, Donna. And you know, and this none of the stuff that I talk about on here, I talk about. Hi, Bunny, Bunny B. None of the stuff on here that I talk about, it's not about creating fear. It's about empowerment. It's about knowledge. It's about giving us an upper hand, so that if something ever should happen, that we don't immediately panic, or at least we don't panic to the level that people that go through life thinking nothing's ever going to happen, when something big happens, they become dysfunctional in many cases, in many situations. So, hey, bad boy Aries, thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. And I'm gonna shut this down, because we'll probably do a little bit more than an hour tomorrow night. Again, Telescope's going to be on tomorrow night. Really looking forward to that. If you have a question, send it to me an email, americandufus@gmail.com, or leave it in the comments, and we'll ask Telescope when he's on tomorrow night. That'll be at midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Pacific. The Poop Bucket Patrionaut. LOL. Peace, peace, everybody. I love you all. Thank you very much. And head over to Lori's stream and drop a couple of bucks into her Cashapp or her super chats. And if you want, tell her Doofus sent you. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow night.